we all had jobs to do. Like I said, we had cows. We didn't have very many, but we had enough to sell milk, make butter, cottage cheese, that stuff for our own self and to sell if people wanted it. But we had a thing called a separator. And Dad and Leonard would be in the barn milking the cows. And they'd bring the pails of milk up, and I had to run the separator. And I sat on a chair, and I had to crank that thing up and go round and round and round and round as fast as I could with that thing. And that would separate the cream from the milk. Don't tell me how, because I wasn't smart enough to know that. But anyhow, this thing had a thing like a coat hanger with a whole bunch of discs. They called them discs that hung on that. And that had to be washed. Every time you used that separator, you had to wash it all up. So after I run the separator, Betty and Violet had to wash it up and clean it up and get it ready for morning. Now this was done twice a day. And I'm the only one that ever run the separator. I like doing it. I enjoyed getting the handle going as fast as I could. So I was hungry. It was faster I could go, the sooner I could go to the table and eat. So I had a method. Always had a method. But anyway, when I got off of the school bus, I got up to the house and took off my school dress and put on a pair of bib overalls. Then I go way back in the back pasture and bring them dumb cows up to the milking shed. I get so mad at them cows and say, "Oh, you dumb old cows, don't you know enough to come home by yourself?" But they wouldn't. They was clear back as far as they could get. And I would be tired and I'd have to walk back there and bring them cows up. So anyhow, I did that after school. A lot of times I had to gather the eggs if Mom hadn't gathered them during the day. And so I didn't like going in the hen house because sometimes them chickens got lousy. And so I didn't like that. But I would gather eggs. I'd always have to see, me and Betty, that Mom had kindling for the kitchen stove so she could get up the next morning and start cooking at 4 o'clock in the morning. Dad always went out early to start his farming. So anyway, we'd go out and gather up corn cobs and whatever we could find to start a fire in the kitchen stove. And then we had wood. Dad had a big tractor, then that big tractor, and he sawed his own wood then. And so I had to help carry that wood around to the back porch, which was a big back porch, and stack that wood all up on the back porch, because we burnt wood in our stoves in the house and in the cook stove. So I took the wood away from the saw. So I was a tomboy. Like I said, I didn't want to be in the house. I liked my outdoor work. And so I helped with getting wood up on the porch. And I just, one time, our yard was pretty weedy. It was a pretty yard, it was way out in the country. Nobody cared, nobody come. But I didn't like that yard that way. So somebody gave us an old push mower, and I tried cleaning up that yard with that old push mower. I got it looking pretty nice. I had a big lilac tree right in front of the front door. Then had that all cleaned up so you could get in and out the house okay. And here comes my big brother, Leonard, or Raymond. He's gonna park in the front yard where I had it all mowed down nice. And I got mad at him because he was ruining my nice yard. But anyhow, that was one job I did. And Then, of course, we had these big gardens. And us kids worked in the gardens. Planted tomatoes, great big long rows of tomatoes. Great big long rows of potatoes. And, of course, Mother planted the lettuce and the radishes and the onions and all that stuff she took care of. But Dad would dig a big furrow to put the tomatoes and the potatoes in. And us girls would go ahead and drop them in the furrow, then we'd go along and some of the girls would cover them up with dirt and some of them with water. Each one had something to do. Well, in the house then, Betty and Violet didn't like outdoors. So their main thing was keeping the house clean. And they liked the dust. Keep the dust down. Keep things cleaned on the inside as much as they could. But we had a cistern that was attached to the back porch, and so we had rainwater to use for other things like washings and washing dishes and so on and so forth. But when it come to washing clothes, Mom had an old wooden thing that looked like a wooden barrel with a rubber thing or with a thing in there that would rub the clothes. That's the way she washed our clothes. But she didn't have a wash machine. She didn't have a dryer.